Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rank 101. My name is John Skees, and I'm the Director of Media for TAPS. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about Rank 1, what it is, why we use it at TAPS, and how you can get the most out of it. I'm joined today by Brian Bunselmeyer, Robert Huckabee, Kelly Bay, and Will Dixon from the TAPS office.
I want to thank you for joining us here today. Rank 1 has become our database partner. It's how we have our database of coaches and students that we'll be using throughout the years as you make your entries and you make your scores, et cetera, make your program rosters as we get ready to attend events. So I think it's very important we've moved forward. A few years ago it was Tapster, now it's Rank 1. Rank 1 is a database. It is a partner with TAPS, so it is a third party. It is HIPAA and data compliant for protection of your information and our information. Every student participating in TAPS events must be listed in Rank 1. And we're going to go through a few of those ideas today and how it works, and also how to get your coaches and your program directors and everybody compliant with TAPS. So thank you for joining us here today. And again, we're going to move through Rank 101.
All right, thanks, Brian. One of the first things you need to do when you set up your Rank 1 account is get your school profile in. Kelly, help our listeners understand what a school profile is and the basic information that's contained in that.
The school profile is under the admin tab in Rank 1, and that is where you would put all the school information, address, principal, website address, logos, everything there. So if any of that changes, you would need to update it in the admin tab under the school profile.
All right. Once you get that done, you'll move to entering all of your staff. You'll start with that. So what you'll do is you'll look at the staff at your school and make sure you input that information into Rank 1 in their particular roles. One of the most important rules, obviously, is your administrators at your school. Specifically, for us, your head administrators, your head of school, we need those in Rank 1. We need to be able to communicate with them by email in critical situations. And Kelly, how do they enter their administrators in Rank 1? Because there's different titles and subjects in there that may not be the title they use at their school.
For any head of school position, principal, head of school, or president, you would use the head of school role. Anybody who needs some access to Rank 1 would be an administrator, but the key important people would need to be head of school, and you can have more than one head of school.
All right, make sure you get those in there. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to Kelly here, Kelly Bay, that's kelly@taps.biz, or you can email us anytime at info@taps.biz, and Kelly and our staff will help walk you through that process. Rank 1 is also available to help you on their end as well. Let's move on to the athletic staff. In that realm, there's certain roles that are very important at your school. They're also very important for us so that we can communicate with you about updates and emails we have that are unique to your role at the school. Certainly, we have athletic directors, we have assistant athletic directors, and coaches. Kelly, help our listeners understand the importance of those roles, how they put them in, and what they're able to do within Rank 1 based on how they're listed.
In Rank 1, the athletic director person, that role has the capabilities to do anything that needs to be done in Rank 1. There's only one athletic director role per school. So if you're a school that does have two athletic directors, one will have to be marked as an assistant AD. All the coaches, every sport needs to have a head coach listed. All assistant coach needs to be listed. If as an athletic director or an assistant AD, you are also a head coach, that role needs to also be assigned to your account.
Okay, help our listeners understand, for the athletic director, who is kind of in Rank 1 system, the gatekeeper of all the information from their school. If they're doing it for the first time, or if they've changed athletic directors, do they contact us or they contact Rank 1 for that?
To change the athletic director role, you must contact Rank 1, and that would be support@rank1sport.com. That is the one position that cannot be changed by anybody but Rank 1.
It's important that if you are a new athletic director, you're new to school, and you're using someone else's login, especially at the athletic director role, please make sure that it's you get with rank 1. We get that name change as soon as possible. Kelly, along that same line, tell me what we're going to do with an athletic secretary or an assistant to the athletic director. What should we mark those as so that they can be receiving the same information? They're what makes the athletic department go most of the time. They're handling the calendar and the schedules, et cetera. So how do we mark them in rank 1?
Anyone that you wish to have basically full access to rank 1, you need to mark as an assistant athletic director. So any secretaries, anybody that you want to be able to change anything, you need to mark as an assistant AD.
So we recognized really quickly last year and coming into this year that the titles in rank 1 may or may not be specific to your school. As you can imagine, with 228 schools, we have a myriad of titles that each school has used over the years to bring them forward. So I feel like rank 1, if we all know the titles, if you have a question on the title, please reach out to us. We're going to say this several times today. Info, I-N-F-O at TAPS, T-A-P-P-S.biz, info at taps.biz for additional information. Robert?
All right, Kelly, let's jump to the fine arts staff. It's very similar to the athletic. It has a separate page in rank 1 where you have access to that information. Take us through those roles and the importance of those in the world of fine arts.
Again, one fine art director. You can have many assistant fine art directors. Your head person for each activity is called your program director. And then any assistants to that would be the assistant program director. We need every role that a person has assigned to them so that they would get any communications from our office.
So if I'm in the art department and I have a lead art teacher, but I have someone doing pottery and someone doing sculpture and someone doing graphite and someone doing photography and school computer-based, do all of those need to be in there, or can I just list myself? What do you recommend?
I would recommend listing everyone as an assistant program director under art, so that should any communications be sent out, they would get them, and you can also make sure they're compliant and know the rules.
I think that's really important by the time we get to the art competition, where we do have short film that has a whole different set of rules, or someone that may be doing something a little bit out of the normal. It's always good to have the head of program director understand what's going on, but those other people to get a little bit deeper dive. Thank you.
All right, another important role in rank 1 is our athletic trainers. Brian has a little bit of experience in this in one of his former lives. So Brian, share with us a little bit of thoughts about the importance of athletic trainers and what they do within rank 1.
In one of our surveys a few years ago, we found almost 30% of our schools had a full-time ATC. We know a lot of you are using ATCs provided by other programs, and a lot of those programs are being utilized at your school, but they're not paid by you. They're part-time when they come to you, but they're being paid full-time by a hospital or a medical group, et cetera. If you have someone that is on your staff, please make sure if they're your athletic trainer, they are listed here. If you have a part-time or someone that covers you on pretty much a weekly basis, if they'll be good enough to give you their information as well and enter them in as our partner, Children's Health Andrews Institute, sends us information, and as we have important documentation, whether it be about physicals, medical history, or updates as we move throughout the year. So ATCs, they're there to keep you, the staff, and they're also there to keep your students healthy. So make sure you have your ATCs listed if possible, and we'll be communicating with them as well. We can't communicate with them if they're not in rank 1. So again, our database needs to be as complete as possible.
All right, thank you, Brian. Let's move to the next topic, updating our staff. Kelly, walk our listeners through. They know who their coaches and administrators and staff is at their school. What is the actual process that they go through to change and make updates to their staff?
Okay, the first thing you would need to do as the AD is to make sure that you are compliant in rank 1 and that your profile is complete. You need to make sure that a fine arts director is assigned and that you are assigned correctly in rank 1. You need to assign all roles to all people in rank 1, all your coaches. Deactivate any staff who have left. Edit any of your staff that has changed if they've added roles or taken roles away. Add all your new coaches, assistant or head. Make sure that all sports do have a head coach listed. If you're the AD, but you're also the basketball coach, we need to know that you are the head basketball coach. And then you should be able to check and make sure that all your coaches are compliant in rank 1.
All right. And speaking of that, how do I know I'm compliant in rank 1? Well, you will, as you log on, you will see a little tab over there that tells you whether you're compliant or not. You can click on that and it will take you to what you need to do within rank 1 to accomplish your compliance on an annual basis. There is a scope form that you click on and you complete the information there. You walk through that process, and then there is an acknowledgement of rules form that every person in rank 1, every person in TAPS who has a role coaching and interacting with students has to complete on an annual basis. When you complete those, your compliance should show that you've moved from non-compliant to compliant. Let's talk about students. Okay, let's talk about students at your school. Let's talk about returning students. Obviously, those are the students. We're talking about high school students now who have matriculated from the previous year to this year. If you were in rank 1 last year, you know there was a process to promote your students from the previous school year to this current school year. And then you will have, in addition to those, you will have students who are new to your school. Students new to your school, and remember, we're speaking about high school, those would be incoming ninth graders, and those would be transfer students. Those would be the students that would be new to your school in the rank 1 system. Okay, Kelly, help our listeners kind of understand what that process is in getting those students in rank 1 correctly.
You need to input all of your ninth graders into rank 1. That can be done as an import, or that can be done as individual students, depending on the size of your school. You would need to add any new students, your transfers. Those would probably be done individually, although if you do one giant spreadsheet, they can also be included on that. There's a way to deactivate any of your students that you know are not returning. And then you'll have to send the email out to your parents to update and or create a student profile in rank 1.
So Kelly, if I wanted to input them all at once, can I contact the TAPS office, or do I email rank 1 direct? How do I find additional information on that? Is there something in my personal profile or on my dashboard? Where do I find that information?
Under your coach's toolkit in rank 1, there is tutorials, and there is a tutorial on how to import your students, or you would email support@rank1sport.com to have them help you.
And we will also have a brief outline of a sample letter to your parents, briefly explaining what rank 1 is and why they need to continue to update that student profile each year.
Okay, that student profile is very important. Let's move to that. And Kelly, walk our listeners through. We've said we need to email our parents and let them know that they need to go on and either update or create their profile. Walk them through that process, if you would.
When they're in creating a student profile, it's general information, address, some medical information. There's a medical history form that has to be completed online. They will do their student profile online, and then they will sign the signature page by the parent and the student.
All right. What they'll do, it's really pretty simple. They'll go in, answer a handful of questions. If they aren't a transfer student, if they're not an international student, if they are a student that lives with their parents and not with someone else, it's a really short, simple process. All they'll have are their medical forms, and when that's been completed and done and in the system, then they will be approved and they will be good to go. What do we have to do once all that's done by the parents? When they do their profile, when they've completed all their forms and their signature pages, is there anything the school has to do once that's been completed?
The school does have to go in and approve the medical histories. They will need to go in and upload their physicals to each student's profile. If it's a transfer student, you'll need to upload their PAPF and any other forms if they're international or a student not living with parent.
And all that will be information that will be available to them as they answer those questions. If they need any of those forms or any of those applications, that will pop up on their screen. It will take them to that particular application. They'll complete that, and then they'll return that to you at the school level, and then you'll upload that into their student file that you have access to in rank 1. As we're talking about medical information, let me remind our listeners that rank 1 is HIPAA and FERPA compliant, that all of that information goes into their database. As Brian mentioned earlier, they are a third party that contracts with TAPS to collect that information. TAPS does not have access to medical information on any of your students at your school. That's something, if you get questions from your parents, you can reassure them of that. We know that it's been done and it's in the system, but we do not have access to that information for personal and privacy reasons.
It's important that that information is be able to be used by your school nurse, by your training staff, by your coaches. So again, you at the school level will have access. We at the TAPS as the umbrella over will not have that access direct. And any information we get is disaggregated, meaning the student name and anything that condition would not be there. It's very important that we remind folks that we do require a physical every year, medical history and physical every year. That it's a little different than other folks, but we believe that as a young man or young woman is growing each year, their body changes each year, especially if they've had an injury the previous year, it's important to get that. So the medical history, again, is an online form. The physical will be brought to your office to upload, and therefore, once you get those in, you're partway there to get the student up to date.
All right, let's transition. If we have all of our staff in, and if we have all of our students in, and we've communicated to our parents, they need to complete their profiles, and they've begun that process, and they're returning forms to your school. One of the next important things is to get all your sports in rank 1, and make sure that you walk through the process of creating your schedules for each of your sports, and then creating your rosters and getting all of your students on the appropriate rosters. So as walking through that process, what you do basically is you make sure every sport at your school has a varsity level team that's marked in rank 1. You'll check the standings. If you've done that correctly, you can go check the standings for the division and district that you're in that particular sport. You can do that on the TAPS website. So if we were talking about basketball, boys basketball, you could go to the TAPS website. If you've done everything correctly in rank 1 to set up that team, then you should appear in the standings on the TAPS website for the particular classification and district that you're in. You put your schedules in rank 1 and in score stream. You'll be required to report your scores in rank 1 and score stream. A very important thing you need to do, and Kelly, I'm gonna let you address this, make sure your schedule and the results are marked public. Explain the difference between private and public and why public is important for us on our end.
Okay, when you're inputting your schedules, you would probably want to keep them to private, put in the entire schedule, and then you're going to change it to public so that anybody who is subscribed to look at your schedule will see it and it will show up on our website. If you were to go in to make a great number of changes, you might turn it to private again while you make those changes, and then remember to click it back to public once you've finished. Some parents will subscribe to the schedule, and if you don't switch it back to private when you make changes, they will get a notification for every change you make. Also, for the results, you need to make the results public, or the standings will not show up correctly on the website.
Thank you, Kelly. The system is created such that you could be developing a schedule and keep it private for that purpose. If you didn't want anyone to know who you might be trying to schedule or play, that's certainly there. But once that's done, you do need to mark that as public so it's available in the system to properly populate to the standings and to the results, so that as you move through those seasons, you and everyone else can see what your record is and what your scores are for all the games that you're playing. And then the next thing you need to do with regard to your rosters, you need to enter your students on the rosters as that becomes available as you move through those particular sports seasons. Make sure that you have them on a roster that is marked, whether it's a high school, your varsity team, or any of your sub-varsity teams that you might have. So that's what you would need to do with regard to your sports. Make sure your schedules are done, they're updated, and they're public, and then make sure your rosters are completed as you move through those particular seasons. Let's transition to fine arts. And Brian, I'm going to pass this one on to you and visit with a little bit about how it's very similar in the world of fine arts.
As we begin discussion on fine arts, It's important to understand that this information is going to be used later on for entries. It's going to be used for our programs. It's going to be used for a myriad of opportunities. So fine arts, it's very important that each group has a varsity level group. If it's your drumline, if it's your marching band, if it's your one-act play, if it's your cheerleaders, even art and academics are called a varsity level group. So make sure you have your students in there. They're going to compete. And then all of our entries for competition will be made using this information through Rank 1 this year. So that is a change from years past, that all entries will be used using the Rank 1 information to create that information process. We're going to end this here. We've got a lot of questions. We've got Kelly, we've got Rhonda here in the office. You've got Rank 1 support. Our information is www.taps.biz, info, info at taps.biz, and our phone number 254-947-9268. And Kelly, give them that support number for Rank 1 one more time.
support@rank1sport.com.
If we can be of assistance, please reach out. It's a busy time. We know everybody's cramped at the very beginning of school trying to make a few minutes here to get things right, but we hope this helps you as we've gone through Rank 101. Thank you for joining us here today.